Do you want to see what the best ad is from Adidas in the eyes of a strategist? My name is Julian Cole. I'm a strategy trainer at the Strategy Finishing School, and I'm going to show you and rank the top 10 ads for Adidas Impossible Is Nothing. Adidas began with Impossible Is Nothing back in 2004. Let me show you that ad first.
Some people listen to themselves rather than listen to what others say. These people don't come along very often. But when they do, they remind us that once you set out on a path, even though critics may doubt you, it's okay to believe that there is no can't, won't, or impossible. They remind us that it's okay to believe impossible is nothing.
Look at you.
To understand what is the best ad for Adidas, we need to look at the idea of Impossible Is Nothing. In the Strategy Finishing School, we talk about idea platforms. This is the statement that all ads need to ladder up to. If we look at the platform for Impossible Is Nothing, it's got three major pieces. Limitations. The first is, what are the limitations put on you as an athlete by society? The second piece, which is optimism. You've got that childhood optimism that more can be done than people expect. And then finally, we show the journey, show the transformational journey as it happens. So in the spot, it really shows this. With Muhammad Ali, we've had someone who's had limitations put on them for the whole of their career. There's no person who's got more belief in themselves than Muhammad Ali. And then in terms of the journey, we actually see that as a representation. You see the cast going out for that early morning jog together. A lot of people might be asking, why can Adidas come up with this line, Impossible Is Nothing? We need to look into the history of Adidas to understand why that line makes sense. So Adidas burst onto the global scene in 1954. Germany was in the final of the World Cup and they were down 2-0 against Hungary. It was a real David versus Goliath story. They ended up winning the match 3-2, and a lot of people said it came down to the shoes. Now with those shoes, there was a lot of innovation that Adidas had created there. They had exchangeable cleats that helped them work on any surface. And then the three stripes that we know of today help stabilize the shoe. So innovation and getting the best out of athletes has always been core to their performance, and still today. So you always start with what are the product features. And in the Strategy Finishing School, we often start with a benefit ladder, which goes through these three levels, which are the product features, the functional benefit, and then the consumer goal. In this, we see that the product feature is that innovation that improves performance, such as the exchangeable cleats. Then we see what's the benefit in the moment, the functional benefit. Well, it allows you to perform above expectation. And then that gets us to our bigger, broader consumer goal, which is mastery of something that others thought was not possible. So now that we know the idea platform and the benefit ladder, let's look at the ranking of the top 10 spots for Adidas's Impossible Is Nothing.
When you're a young gymnast, the bar has already been set very high. Nadia was the first to show the world a perfect 10. Not once, but 7 times. She reminds me that if I work hard enough, there's a chance that for just one moment, perfection is possible.
The first spot of gymnast, we see the childhood optimism coming out. The limitations are kind of briefly mentioned, so I don't really feel like it's a great story there. The other problem that we're dealing with here is perfection, and perfection means that's the end of possible. There's no score above 10. So it doesn't really have that shattering of the impossible in this. So I'm giving this a rank of 4 out of 10. Better spots to come. Now, this spot almost feels like a bit of a PlayStation spot to me, more than an Adidas spot. It brings that childhood optimism of getting these different basketball players to play. But the problem I have with this is that we're not really dealing with that adversity that we see in the other spots. So that limitation isn't really coming out. So I'm giving that a 4.2 out of 10.
This is my family. Every World Cup, we all get together.
Mate, let's go.
Vamos, Karim.
Karim eats goals for breakfast. Leo, he's one of a kind. With Sonny, everything's brighter. Nobody's faster than Hakimi. Serge's style is unbeatable. You can't forget about your boy Storms. When football is everything, impossible is nothing.
This is their latest spot. We see the journey in this is very subtle. They're all getting on a bus. We've got that childhood feel and the family feel about it, with everyone kind of being in the same family. But the limitations on what is possible is not really mentioned. It's kind of skirted over the top. However, the optimism of the start of the World Cup and getting onto the bus is when you feel most optimistic about the future. So from a communication strategy point of view, this actually is quite a fertile ground. One thing that we cover in the strategy finishing school is to get to the comms strategy. I often use this prompt of surround the moments when. And for this one, it's surround the moments when people feel like the impossible can be achieved. And to me, that's always at the start of the World Cup. I even think that Australia might win some games, which is completely outside the realm of possibility right now. So they've got an interesting comms strategy here with the launching of it, but I think there's a couple of pieces missing. So it's a 5.2 out of 10 for me.
José, ¿jugamos? Sí, pares. 1, 2 y 3. Sí sé. Kaká. Zidane. Beckham. Defoe. Can. Lampard. Beckenbauer. Beckenbauer.
Beckenbauer. Veamos.
Platini.
Platini. Oye, Defoe. Soy el capitán. 4-4-2. Ten cuidado con Sisé, que es muy bueno y muy rápido, ¿vale? Vale. Lampard, Robert, venga, vamos. ¿Listos? Quita. ¡Venga, vamos! ¡Venga, corre! Sorry. ¡Aquí, pasa! Tú, al banquillo. ¡Da, ven! ¡Oye, tira! No, que ha sido gol, ¿no? ¡José! ¿Qué? ¡A casa!
Plus 10, the Impossible Teams is an iconic spot. I actually still remember this spot from my childhood. Again, got that childhood optimism in this place where, hey, I can bring all the best players to my local field. However, it doesn't really talk to overcoming, but because it's so iconic, I think it's still up there for me, and I'm giving it a rating of 5.4 out of 10.
Some say it's impossible, ending plastic waste. But to us, that talk is just part of the problem. Yeah, I said it. What's up? This one is for the oceans. So let's not run away from this challenge. Let's run towards it. Because we all have our reasons. We run for our homes, for our families, for the next generation. To help put our foot down on plastic waste and stand up for what's right. It's time to run for the oceans and show the ones who have given up why we never will.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
Deep breaths, brother. In and out.
Oh my gosh!
Now let's go!
We'll do it step by step, minute by minute, bottle by bottle. You know, maybe they're right. It might be impossible to do on our own. But together, impossible is nothing.
This is a really interesting spot for me because they've been able to push this out into a cause-related space. The limitation has been a new one. We're seeing a different version here where the limitation was that people are saying it's impossible to end plastic waste. The end line, you can't do it on your own, but together impossible is nothing, is interesting. It brings a different angle into this. So I think that we've still got the pieces here, and it's interesting that they've put it into cause-related. However, I think it's a little bit soft with the limitations and the barriers that they've brought to life here. An amazing soundtrack too. Love it. So 6.3 out of 10.
There's over 450 million hoopers out there. One will outscore the country and put Norman on the map. Less than 1% of high school players get a scholarship. Odds a freshman would lead the nation in points and assists. One and never been done. 1.3% of college players get drafted. Only one would drop 48 and 11 in the conference finals. One will know this is just the beginning. Trey had a 1.5 billion chance to get here, but he saw a possibility.
I love the consumer problem here of a lot of these athletes and basketball players are told the percentage chance of them actually making it into the NBA. So I think they've got a really strong copy here, and the copy is really tight. 1 in 500 million chance of getting here, but he saw the possibilities. I think that really speaks to the journey. He's showing the journey. However, for me, the copy was really tight. However, the art direction, even though he looks like he's playing in his childhood gym, I didn't think it pushed it as far as other pieces that I've seen. So it's a 6.6 out of 10 for me.
Now say hello. Leave those bees alone.
Let's have a race.
All right, get on the mark. Get set, go.
When she was finding her voice, she didn't see limits.
Beyonce knows female pop vocalist.
She saw possibilities. To be more than a singer, more than a dancer, more than an icon. She saw that she could be an inspiration to all people.
Beyonce has inspired me to just keep pushing and going.
The possibilities are unlimited. So that she and they and we could see possibilities too.
The Beyonce spot really shows how broad this platform can be by coming out of athletes and showing a singer and how she was told impossible is nothing. I think, again, we've got that lock here on that journey. We see her growing up and show the path to her overcoming it. However, for me, the limitations that she has on herself, Beyonce, as a musician, really talk about someone who's a celebrity. I don't think it's as relatable for the audiences, the limitations that she she's gone on. She definitely shows Impossible Is Nothing and has taken herself from icon to almost superstar. But for the average singer, I don't think the limitations are speaking to it as much. To me, it's a great spot. I give it a 6.7 out of 10.
It's impossible to take hold of the world spotlight overnight, create your own uniform, be a cover model, a powerful athlete, or compete as a trans woman. Impossible? No, I'm possible.
I love the way that the visuals and words line up perfectly in this spot. It's also breathed new life into Impossible Is Nothing. Final, seeing the women who've made it. I think we see that journey and the transformation works so well in some of the other spots. So I'm giving this a 7.7 out of 10.
My name is David Beckham, and this is my story. I'll still look back to '98. Of course, I wish it hadn't have happened. I sort of reacted as a young boy. I think I cried for about 5 or 10 minutes, literally. I was having death threats. I never felt safe for 3.5 years. It can knock a person down so much that they just go under. After I scored the goal against Greece, all the sports writers, they just stood up and started clapping me. To have that from the harshest critics, that was a huge thing. You will go through tough times. It's about coming through that.
Talking about these superstars and revealing these stories of problems that they actually overcame. Everyone's got their own problems, but we often don't associate them with the superstars. We see all the limitations that they had to overcome and their mindset and their optimism to get them through that. Also, I think the childhood drawings are just like a perfect touch for me because they're helping to bring these celebrities back to the very beginning. Everyone's done those childhood drawings of them wanting to play on the world stage, and this really brings that to life and shows your heroes started here too. Your heroes had those problems as well. So impossible is nothing. And so I love this spot. I think it works really well. It's an 8.4 out of 10 for me.
Impossible isn't a fact. It's an opinion. Like when they said it'd be impossible to beat Sonny Liston. He's too powerful, too experienced. Or when they said don't take the fight in Zaire. He's too young, too strong. He's gonna destroy Ali. So when my father looks impossible in the eye and defeats it, again and again, what do you think I'm gonna do when they say women shouldn't box? Yeah, that's right. Rumble, young girl, rumble.
This spot absolutely nails it for me. Layla Ali was such a force at this moment. They were able to capitalize on the story that they had already begun with the Muhammad Ali spot and found a way to make it contextually relevant. I think that childhood optimism, and when we talk about that journey, we naturally have that with Muhammad Ali and Layla Ali, and we can see ourselves as Layla Ali and that growth that she's about to go through. The limitation story is brought up through Muhammad's story, but then then we transfer to Layla's story at the end. And to me, that really grounds it in the audience and makes the audience ask themselves the question, well, if Muhammad did it, why can't I do it as well? Also, the insightful line at the start, which is impossible isn't fact, it's an opinion, really hits you hard. And that's what an insight has to do. I talk a lot in the strategy finishing school about how to get to insights, but that line's great. It's a revelation. We always talk about impossible, but thinking about it as not fact, but an opinion is such a good flip on that. And that's what we look for. So I'd love to hear from you what you think is the best Adidas Impossible Is Nothing spot.